Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. I
Uh,
just woke up in the afternoon, so
I know how that feels. I know how that feels. So yeah,
thanks for the publicity.
huh? Oh, you're welcome, I guess. Yeah, I think I covered, I covered your video on big tech censorship and stuff like that. I've also seen in show prep for like another one of these streams. I haven't gotten to it yet. I also saw your video on the Wonder Woman movie thing, and
Well,
specifically, I
that one
guess
got a lot of hate.
going out. Well, I mean, yeah, but like, let's be honest, that's what you were going for.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, what did
you
I
don't put
expect?
in a larger YouTuber in the title just like, oh, it's just I had no idea that this was gonna come.
Hey, I like the guy too. I mean,
Yeah, Shad seems like he's a really lovely lad. Um, but yeah, no, I guess like I got a little confused because like at certain parts of your video you seemed like you were like in favor of censorship and deplatforming when it like went after people that you didn't like, but then like you seem to say that like it was a bad thing in general just because it can be used against you and
so
people that you
so
agree
yeah,
with.
so yeah, it's kind of a free speech for me, but not for the kind of thing that you're kind of seeing right there, right?
Right.
So my point is that even though on principle it's wrong to censor,
Hmm.
that I have bigger priorities than simply free speech. I'm a socialist, so I think establishing workplace democracy for all is a bigger goal than actually just like making sure everybody can talk. That's like it's a matter of priorities rather than anything else. That's the
Wouldn't
first thing. And
democracy entail people being able to say what they want to say?
yeah, but that's not really well. A gets B the way B does not lead to A. Obviously, we've been able to freely speak for a long time, and we haven't gotten workplace democracy. So, establishing a worker state, actually not a worker state necessarily, but some sort of market socialism would probably lead to free speech after that.
Even though you're against it in the interim before that?
Well, yeah, because the reason this goes is because, and sorry, since I haven't really done much streaming or anything like
Oh, you're
that.
fine, dude.
The, so basically, if everybody has the power to do whatever the hell they want, basically the working class will never actually win because the owner class, the bourgeois, are too powerful. So they'll always push back on any democratic means. America's basically not actually a democracy. The owner class, the rich people, basically always get what they want. So it, as long as you have systems that are generally good, like democracy or like speech and stuff like that, a lot of the times the owner class can basically use that to basically silence any opposition.
Okay, so if there is no owner class, would there still be? Would you still allow, I guess, people to say things that you personally find distasteful in this sort of paradigm?
Uh, well, yeah, basically.
How would that work specifically, though? Then,
I mean, once you get to socialism, there's like nobody else would want to go back. Like, why the hell would you want to subject yourself to like a dictatorship under this like business owner who will treat you like shit? Like,
I mean,
it
it
doesn't
could be
even
if
matter how much speech there is. Like,
it
nobody
could
will want to
be
go back to capitalism.
if the paradigm in which it's going is like super totalitarian to the point where they were completely fine with suppressing speech of dissidents that they didn't like at a certain point. Like, I mean, I don't know. At a certain point, it's because like the thing that I notice a lot with like a lot of socialist YouTubes is that they seem to be very pro authoritarianism just when it's for things that they like. You know what I mean? They
Well,
seem to
again,
be
it's
They seem to be like pretty they seem to be pretty comfortable with like some of the Europe models of just like certain speech that's like against what the government says is okay can, you know, lead to arrests and stuff like that, and they seem relatively okay with that, which is something I think is a little concerning, honestly.
Yeah, I'm against that too.
Especially right now with like everyone making a massive fuss over a like largely peaceful protest at the Capitol, saying that
All
it's
right,
like
those guys had zip ties and weapons and shit like that.
okay,
Like
but
they were planning to take hostages. Like
they were one
yeah.
person had zip ties, and to my knowledge, not a single person who was arrested inside of the Capitol building was in possession of any firearms.
Wait. You think that if they got into the building and the Congress people were there, they wouldn't round up the Democrats and shoot them?
Uh, Again, like I said before, there hasn't been any instances, at least from what I've seen, of people who actually broke into the Capitol building, actually, actually like being arrested with firearms inside. If they were, they would most likely report on that because that's a pretty big felony right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway,
I,
that's not really the
I've
topic. I
also
mean,
seen like people say that like, oh, they had like a gallows out inside of the front of the thing, but like it wasn't a functioning gallows. Like the noose was up like 7 feet off from like the base of where it was. Like that would be really inefficient to like go around hanging people with. And this too, people during the BLM protests slash riots had routinely used like symbolic guillotines in their protests and stuff like that. They didn't like, you know, behead anybody. I'm saying that they had erected guillotines as a symbolic measure. So I think that it's like a selective clutching of pearls for the most part.
and how many of those protests had guillotines?
At least two, I believe.
Oh yeah, two out of the how many millions of marchers?
No, no, I'm not one
Because
again.
there were thousands of
I'm
people at
conceding
the Capitol.
I'm conceding that the BLM protests are like largely peaceful too. Like 93% of the BLM protests are largely peaceful. It's just like the 7% with, you know, arsons and assaults and stuff like that are kind of concerning in general. But you know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's but like I've seen like a photo of one person with zip ties, and I haven't seen any reports of people actually being arrested with firearms. So I largely reject this concept that this was like a planned violent coup to overthrow the government. I think that people had gone in, they were riled up and angry, but I don't think that any Congress critter was in any actual danger.
Wait, so
Um,
you don't think that their actual goal was to overturn the election and force Mike Pence to like somehow like stop it
I mean,
and get
through like maybe some sort of weird loophole type shit, maybe, but like for them to like the idea that they wanted to like march in, hold all the people at gunpoint, it's like ratify Trump as the victor and then go their merry way. I just I don't see it. I don't see it.
well, look, just because they're incompetent and it would never work doesn't mean they didn't try.
Again, I don't think they tried even. Like they left
Have you
almost as soon
seen
as
the interviews?
they were there for like an hour.
Have you seen the interviews? They're all like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go and overturn the government and get Trump 4 more, eight
I
more
mean,
years,
sure, there
12
was
more years."
crazy
Like,
people there too, but I don't think like a large portion of the people that were there were intending to do that. And like I said before, I don't think any like congressional member actually sustained any injuries during any of this. I think that most of the injuries were like protesters themselves. I know like one was killed by being trampled by the by some of the people there and like sort of like an unruly walk out or something like that, or walk in or whatever. Like it was definitely chaotic, but like I said before, the chaos seems to largely not have been like directed towards violence. If it was, we'd probably see like a lot more bad shit, you know what I mean? At least
well,
that's how I
the
see it.
main concern is that they're they don't seem to have much respect for democracy, do they?
I
So
mean,
kind of getting
eh,
into the paradox of tolerance, like you can't if you have like a fascist party just walking in your democracy. If they win, they do everything they can to destroy democracy. So you can, if you have unlimited tolerance or unlimited free speech or unlimited democracy for all, then basically the intolerant will come in, seize power, and basically stamp out all the tolerance you used to have.
I never really bought into that paradigm specifically, largely because I'm a little bit skeptical of who's the one determining what is and what isn't intolerant, for the
I have
most
that same
part.
problem too.
Because it seems like the authorities are correct, the authorities are right, don't question them or anything like that, which I'm not a big fan of in general. And you know, it like, you know, the fucking, like, as an example, like the biggest bugaboo, the most like bigoted person that like I've seen a lot of like left YouTuber people get like really up in arms and clutching their pearls about is fucking J.K. Rowling. It's like, yeah, no, she's just a crazy fucking lady. She writes about how wizards used to shit their pants and then use magic to get rid of it. Like that lady is just a fucking crazy person. She's always been crazy. I don't
I
know.
mean, yeah,
But like,
J.K. Rowling.
like when that's like your biggest, like, this is a problem, this needs to stop, and it's just like, I
I
just
mean, it
can't be
is
brought
kind
to
of a
care.
problem, though, right? It is kind of a
Uh,
problem, though, that like one of the most popular children's authors in the entire world is a turf.
I don't care what people do in their private life. Like, she's a crazy person before that, and I didn't care. Like, she would just like write really fucking crazy shit. Like, I don't know. It's not something I really give a shit about. I've always said that the worst part about TERFs is the radical feminist part, but like I don't really give a shit
Oh,
about
so
the other
being
part as much.
transphobic is okay.
I just don't care. Like I just don't care about that as much. I think like the radical feminist part is the thing that like gets people to do like crazy shit. Honestly, I've said this already like twice during the stream. I honestly just don't. I honestly don't care. Like I'm friendly with trans people, and I don't like hate people. I think like a large portion of people's online experiences with trans people are generally through like a person on Twitter that like reports you for not reading their bio and using their pronouns or something like that, and it's like getting like really neurotic online. But like there's plenty of them that are just like, no, I just want to, you know, like just I'll shit post with you like the rest of us, and it's just like, okay, I don't care. But you know, that's just how I feel. It's, and people are allowed to feel their other way too. I don't feel the need to like project my values on other people in general.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, rad fems are the, I don't know, they're super cringe, even more cringe than I am. So
I mean, like I said, and then I don't know. I just it's just a I don't know. I don't know how to put it.
So going back to basically my point, like in the video, was a super convoluted way of saying that I oppose them getting censored, but if they do, I won't shed any tears. Like that's literally, yeah, I could have said that, but
Yeah, I think I understand, because I actually share a similar sentiment with people who are pro deplatforming. Like when they get fucking banned off Twitter, I find it really fucking funny. Like just,
yeah,
but there's a level of like Schadenfreude and also like a little bit of irony that's also really fun and stuff. But like if people are anti deplatforming but they fundamentally disagree with me on everything, I don't want them getting banned. Like yeah, I don't want them getting
well,
banned.
yeah. There's the difference between you and me because like things like Trump getting COVID, like I celebrated that and I hoped he would die because he's just literally just bad for the country. So um like him getting COVID, I don't approve of killing people. I don't necessarily approve of people dying,
Mhm.
but if he did it, then I would be completely fine with it or even happy with it. You know, so it's more of a about practicality than necessarily about principle.
I think that there is an aspect to that, and I have criticized people of having like a taking their principles to like really convoluted conclusions where they need to like absolutely hold to this principled standard, and they'll say really retarded shit for holding to that standard. But at a certain point, like if your principles are easily discarded away based on practicality, then they're not really very strongly held principles. At least that's what I think.
And then we have to figure out a balance point if that even exists.
Oh, it definitely exists, and it's definitely arbitrary at certain points by people's like own perspectives. But that's also something that you yourself personally have to like come to terms with and be strong enough to like, I guess, understand that that's where you draw the line. But you also have to understand that some people are going to criticize it.
Right. Let's talk about how corporations are actually directing the censorship, because
Yeah, sure.
as I said in my video, conservatives, they're not being censored for being conservative. They're censored for pushing certain views which certain views which are outside, the okay zone, while like leftists, we're actually being censored, we're actually being like deprioritized, like on the whole, for being left.
You don't fall with outside of the Overton window in that case, then?
um well, I'm easily outside the Overton window, but I'm really small, so
Well, then by that definition, you're not being censored. You just fall outside of the Overton window, and they don't want to deal with that.
yeah. By censor, I include things like deprioritization. Like
Right.
I don't think I'm big enough to like actually know the difference between whether I am being deprioritized or not. Obviously, I'm a very foul-mouthed YouTuber, so
Mhm.
that doesn't go well for me either.
Um, so with that, I think ideally, if they just stop trying to fuck with the channel recommendations and stuff like that, I think that would probably be the best course of action. I find the idea of like a company trying to like deprioritize or reprioritize or things like that to be a little creepy and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily agree that like more like I would say like the large bulk of this sort of stuff generally happens to more right-leaning figures. It,
Well, that's because you whine about it more.
well,
Like,
no, I think it
you guys have
happens. I think it happens more regularly because, like, what's the left's version of Alex Jones? What's the left's version of Trump? And
well, we're not
what
racist,
are
and
the
we're not like
what are their what are their positions in terms of social media?
we're not racist, and we're not like promoting crackpot conspiracy theories, so that helps. Like,
So again, because you've labeled them that, that makes it okay.
well, no, because they've labeled that as not okay, and we
Well,
don't
you're okay
engage
with it
in that
because
sort of
they are
things.
engaged in doing that you find distasteful.
What, come again?
I said, but you're okay with that because they're engaged in something that you find distasteful.
Well, I do find it distasteful, but it's just
Right.
what they think is not okay, and we just happen to not fall under those categories. But when we amass enough power, because here's the thing,
Mhm.
conservatives right now have far more power than the left does. If you think if like a
They do?
socialist, yeah, I mean, if a socialist party or like some FDR type figure like Bernie, like actually like got like really powerful, like won the Democratic primary or shit like that, like you'd think you'd see the tides like swing the other way. Like that's what happened to FDR. Like all the media and all the press, they all hated him and tried to like slam him as much as they tried to slam Trump this time around. I mean, it's basically, it's the way I see it, it's the establishment and the people in power trying to clamp down on that and trying to preserve what they already have, which is
So
why I
wouldn't that by definition say that they're more of a threat to the establishment than people on your side of the aisle?
conservatives. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're currently more of a threat to the establishment, but not. But but let's see. I'm trying to be a little bit more specific here.
Yeah, I got you, dude. Just
Because the Trump
take as much time as you want. By the way, there's no pressure, no rush. Just if you're I'm trying to be as hospitable of a guest as possible.
the Trump base, they're pretty. I mean, they're actually, their ideology is a little bit different from what actually Trump delivers on them. Like
Mhm.
Trump's a fake populist, right? Like he didn't actually deliver on a lot of the stuff. Like he's been terrible for the working class. He just gave like a bunch of tax cuts and like a bunch of stuff for billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of his policies aren't exactly as populist as his base would like him to be.
Right.
So the base itself is particularly what the establishment is trying to control. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that rampant racism and all that stuff. So the reason I want to
Well,
I want
from what I've heard though, is that racism is an extension of the capitalist working class. So that seems a little confusing and contradictory. For at least, I
well
don't think I've ever heard you say that, but I've heard like other people in these spheres say that.
well, capitalism can support racism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, let's say we have a system in which which is very capitalist, and the billionaires have an incentive to prove that the capitalist system we work under currently is completely a meritocracy, right? If we're a complete meritocracy, you'd expect that all races being equal, that black people would be just as successful as white people,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not. So you have to either conclude two things: either capitalism is not a meritocracy, or black people are just inferior.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sort of way, capitalism can mold itself around in a way to grapple for the best advantages it can take care, like it can take hold of in whatever environment it's in. Currently, like the progressive, pseudo progressive, like idpol shit. That's in that's popular right now. So the
Well,
companies are going to be like Black Lives Matter, going to be like flying like the rainbow colored flags because those don't cost anything. They can keep up their profits while still like doing that pseudo progressivism.
I mean,
So like,
all politics is based in identity. Like I never really understood why people like clamped because like you said you're a socialist. You believe in like intersectionality, right?
sure, I mean, some of that's a little cringe, but
Yeah, but intersectionality by definition is identity politics. It is like
yeah,
how your identities intersect and outshape your worldview. So like I think these people even understand this, but all politics is based in identity. Just like what specific identities that you align yourself with is like really what like shapes your outlook on this. You know what I mean?
well, the main dividing factor in almost everything is usually class. I mean, the reason they focus on shit like identity is because that way we don't actually look at class and how they're screwing over the working class.
Okay.
So to paint like corporate media and the establishment as leftist, which a lot of right-leaning people do, is just completely disingenuous or at least incompetent.
Well, no, I don't think it's like necessarily just that, but I'm saying that like your identity personally is probably what influences your values and your beliefs the most, like how you self-identify specifically. Like you yourself identify yourself as a socialist. That ideology shapes your political wishes and outcomes.
Well, not necessarily. I'd like to think, although this isn't always the case, that
Mhm.
my ideology comes from what I think, and then I shape my the way I identify around that.
Right, but that means that your identity worldview, like your worldview, how you see the world is what's influencing it. And that too is also a part of identity, right?
Well, the my point is, I'm an individual before I am part of any like identity group.
Right, but you identify as an individual. Like that also, like you being a person who identifies for yourself first as an individual is like individualist. It like again, it all informs based on that. That's why I'm just like that's why I always find like that I don't know who popularized that term to call it like idpol because it already sounds like really dumb. But it itself is just like a really kind of missing the point, especially when it's being used by people who like will also in the same breath like preach intersectionality. At least that's how I always saw that. Sorry, it's just that's always like one of my weird little hangups.
Yeah, I'm not following super well. Maybe this is like too low IQ, I guess.
No, I'm just I can be a little erratic and ADHD sometimes, so just bear with me. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I guess like the main thing is that I don't I the way that I would personally like to see it, the way that I personally would like to see it. This is my big brained take of how I would like the internet to be run, especially with social media platforms. I think that once a internet platform gets to a certain threshold of like being the only one that's viable for something like this, if once it hits like a certain threshold of the monopoly on users or something like that, I think that there should be protections to the users, that basically anything that is not illegal should be allowed on that platform. I think that after you get to a smaller threshold, though, then in the sake of like specialization or something like that, obviously, like if you're running, like you said in the cooking thing, if you're running a cooking forum and somebody wants to talk about Star Trek, it's like, okay, well, this is a cooking forum. Get the fuck out of here. Unless you're talking about like, I guess, replicator food or something like that, and then maybe, but that's like a random thing. I think that once you get to a smaller threshold, you should have a little bit more ability to discuss over like what is and what isn't allowed. But after a certain point, I think that it should be kind of treated like you said, a public utility. Although repealing Section 230, which both presidential candidates last election were very much in favor of, is probably like a really stupid idea, and it's probably going to ruin the internet.
Yeah, fucking Trump
Biden wants
to
it
actually
too, dude.
restrict speech. Like,
Biden wants it too, though.
Yeah.
Biden's Trump also expressed interest in restricting Section 230 protections for different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea that like Trump is this like free speech figure is like it's kind of dumb, isn't it?
I mean, he throws a little bit of red meat of like anti-patriotism stuff should be verboten, but like other than
like,
that,
he wants to like he calls the media the enemy of people, and he wants to like introduce laws like to try to like basically like sue a bunch of people who he doesn't agree with out of existence.
well,
Like,
with
he wants to
the media
like expand,
part,
like,
you've got
defamation lawsuits
with the
like
media
shit
part
like that.
with the media part, you have like people on MSNBC talking about what happened at the Capitol building, likening it to Al Qaeda, and then like mentioning drone strikes and how we got rid of those people who were inciting. And it's just like, yeah, when Trump says enemy of the people, I'm like starting to like, yeah, these people don't, these people have open contempt for me. They want me dead.
They want money. They want power. That's it.
They want power, and the way that you get power is you get rid of your enemies.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to get at is that there's not a focus on necessarily on right-leaning people who are being censored, rather than it's the establishment and the people currently in power who are trying to keep it. So they'll clamp down on the racism and the conspiracy theories on the right, but then they'll equivocate that with the lefts trying to find economic justice, and they'll do that in a way to just push all those groups off the table, basically. That's just the main point that I'm getting to.
Yeah, I think that it is happening to a certain extent. The people that are generally getting messed with in general, is especially not, counting like bigger YouTubers who are already like, verified check marks, or people who already had like careers outside of YouTube or something like that. I think that in general, they are definitely getting targeted more than people on the left. It's, at least that's what it seems to be, based on like the people who are getting banned. I can't really think of like a really prominent like mid-tier left-wing content creator that got banned for anything on YouTube specifically.
They're being softly deprioritized.
Which ones?
Shadow banned it. I think maybe it was Second Thought. He made a video about how the CIA is a terrorist organization.
Mm-hmm.
That got shadow banned. Basically, a lot of like the adpocalypse has fed into this as well, as that like anything that's considered borderline basically gets deprioritized. Yeah. And you know how it is, like CNN and MSNBC.
I'm against that in general.
Yeah, like shit like MSNBC and CNN cut a deal with YouTube so that like whenever you watch any political content, they always redirect you in the watch next feed. Like that's all bullshit. I think we can agree on that.
That's bullshit. Yeah, I 100% agree. But yeah, I like I said, I always, I like, I knew that Trump's Twitter ban was coming. I knew that it was going to happen. The fact that it, like, all of it happened at once was like a little. The fact that it happened while he was still in office was like a fucking, like, holy shit. The fucking balls on these guys. Holy shit. They were 100% willing to show their hand, but I gotta say, like, when it happened to Alex Jones, I was like, yeah, this is really fucked. We're screwed. Especially when it happened like all at the same time. It's like, yeah, this is coordinated 100%.
Yep. I'm not unhappy that Trump got banned.
I'm unhappy. I think Twitter is a much more boring place without him, honestly. But yeah.
Maybe we can settle for boring. Maybe let some other exciting figure come in and fill that hole soon.
Nah.
Hopefully on the left.
Which one would fill it though? I don't know.
I don't know. Like there's some talk about AOC like filling that hole. I don't really believe it.
Oh man, yeah. I just got done dealing with her on. Well, I was covering like the AOC Smollett stuff. How aware are you on that?
Smollett. All I know is that Smollett is probably like some fucking racist guy.
Oh well, no, he was a black guy that faked a hate crime. But yeah,
yeah, he's probably kind of racist, isn't he?
Listen, I don't think there was any racial animus. I don't think there was any racial animus to it. I think it was just like to get money and publicity.
Yeah, maybe that.
He understood. Maybe. He understood the rules and was just a little greedy, I think, in the end. But oh,
so you're thinking he's using just like the Karen strategies, you know, you just take care and use current like storylines to get more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I don't know about the relation between that and AOC.
So AOC had made statements during the Capitol protest / riot saying that people had stormed our offices, specifically, quote, our offices. It was later revealed that AOC was actually in the Cannon Congressional office building, which is about 6 minutes away from the Capitol building itself, and that the building itself had never been breached by protesters whatsoever. So it was sort of like it was sort of like, and I hate doing this, but one of the memes that I saw from it was you've seen Star Wars, I'm guessing, right?
I think so.
You ever see Revenge of the Sith? It was like
it
was like Palpatine's like, the attempt on my life has left me disfigured, and it's just like, yeah, this is sort of like what they're doing. They're kind of milking it, and I'm a little skeptical of what they're going to be milking it for. You've already got the FBI getting banks to just like report on anybody that was in the Capitol that day or made purchases within DC that day. Which is a little fucking creepy and a really big invasion on privacy, but you know.
I don't know. They kind of tried to overturn the election. They kind of stormed a place illegally.
So that means that any American citizen that bought something within the confines of Washington, D.C. that day should have their bank accounts examined by the FBI?
Is that what? Oh, no, that's okay. Like some Patriot
yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's this sort of like Patriot Act 2 shit sort of stuff that I'm a little wary of, because they're gonna fuck with us in general over something that was like largely a peaceful protest again. Yeah.
So what else did we have that I didn't? Yeah, like shit. Like I think we already kind of went over this. Like the like spam and like threats of violence. How those aren't actually speech.
threats of violence are actually like illegal. It's illegal to make death threats. But anything else,
they're also not speech.
Anything else is speech, though, I think. Spam, obviously, spam bots in general. Yeah. And I do respect you, I guess, for not like deleting comments. That's always a refreshing thing. That's definitely like a good thing.
All right, so I think we've hashed out everything that we basically.
Yeah, no problem.
Also, like Section 230, I didn't really reference Section 230.
You did in the video. You referenced.
I talked about how it wasn't I wasn't talking about the legal stuff. Like
Right.
yeah, like
Well, no, you had
when
it.
I
You
talked
had it in the
about
little. You had it in the little ticker box at the bottom, mentioning 230 and the difference between platform versus publisher not being distinguished, but like it is, I believe.
well,
But the
kind of. It's like
yeah,
kind of Weasley in the way that like Section
there's
230
a
basically
there's a
just
legal distinction between it, but like it's sort of like the it's sort of like obscenity laws. Like you'll know it when you see it, sort of shit. You know what I mean?
yeah, so yeah, the way I was explaining like the publisher platform, like who's responsible, whatever, it wasn't necessarily based off of Section 230. It's just the point that I was getting to.
Hmm. No, that's why I was saying, and like I said, like both politicians are stupid on Section 230, but for vastly different reasons. Like Trump was being stupid with Section 230 because it would just ruin the internet, and Biden's also, but I think he wants to ruin the internet. Trump might too, who knows? Although Trump did at least have like one really nice little piece of not legislation, regulation under his administration. Unfortunately, Biden's like put the kibosh on that. Hopefully that's one of the things that manages to skirt by. Trump's comptroller of currency had instituted regulations basically saying that as long as as long as like businesses or individuals were engaged in like 100% legal activity, banks wouldn't be able to deny access based on anything other than like they're bad, they're being badly run, which is really good because like the latest tactic has been specifically to go after people's financial livelihoods because you don't like what they say online, which I think is pretty fucking shitty. And
No fun, cancel culture.
well, it's a little bit more than cancel culture because cancel culture generally pertains to just like people, bitching about you on Twitter or something like that. Um, but like this is like depersoning you from financial institutions and getting rid of your ability to like function in society, which is like fucking horrifying. I think anyway. Like
Yeah, all
if
right.
I guess to like, ask you like if a bunch of socialists, if a socialist group was completely blacklisted from every single bank in America and wasn't able to accept payment donations, would you think that that's like really fucking horrifying?
Yeah, and we're
Okay.
not powerful enough to get banned like that. That's
Well,
a that's a it, it's almost a good problem to have. Obviously, it's not actually, but you know.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I always like it when people I cover on this. I guess how'd you find out? Who told you that I was watching your video?
Some troll in my comments
Was
told
it
me.
Carl?
So maybe.
Yeah, he does
Good
that.
name though. I love the name Carl.
Yeah, he loves Carl. He loves Carl.
It's spelled wrong.
It might have been. I don't know. Well, it might be Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Carl with a C.
Yeah, that's Carl. That's Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Yeah, he does that. I hopefully he was respectful, but listen. I don't tell people to go fuck with other people online. I'll never do that. I don't like that sort of shit.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, always be nice to people. I'm glad that I'm glad that I hope you have a good day, and hit me back if you ever want to chat about any topics. And have a good night.
All right,
Unless
you
there was
too.
anything else you wanted to say. I didn't mean to like, oh, it's like, okay, time to it sounded like I was like saying time to get the fuck out. Get out of here.
Oh
Get the
yeah,
fuck out
yeah.
of here. Yeah.
Just let me show myself. Just
Yeah, sure.
if you want to watch some anti-cultural socialist shit, just come over to Annihilist.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I do want to ask you one other thing. Cuz I guess like the thing that I was watching from all that was cuz I like I said I had first seen your thing with the Shadiversary thing. Have you changed your mind on whether or not it's a little bit more ethically dubious for Wonder Woman and her boyfriend to just completely not notice the fact that they've completely hijacked somebody else's life through magical wish stone things?
Oh yeah, well, as far as that goes, I mean, I think I think the hijacking itself is wrong, but that after that point, Chris Pine's okay to do whatever he wants because like Chris Pine didn't do anything himself. Like he just got transported into a weird body. Like
Okay.
I don't think he should be held responsible for it for his actions for someone else's actions putting himself into this current body.
Hmm.
And I don't think it really matters whether that body used to be occupied by someone else.
Okay. I like every like that's been like the common thread that I've seen through all like my media critique things that I watch on YouTube, like Red Letter Media and such. Like it's like ghost rape, and it's just like kind of is. It's a little fucked. Uh, but yeah. All right. Well, have a good day and take care.
Yeah, you too.
Yep. Peace
Bye.
out.